a girl mentions how she knows the secret of the person who sits next to her. His name is Takamori. A troublesome heart flutter. Takamori thinks about how much he likes Minamikawa. Who is the girl? The fact that he likes her. Since she was little, she could hear people's minds. She's already used to it ever since she got into high school. It doesn't bother her anymore. However, only with Takamori. She can hear his thoughts and what he feels about her. It gets a little annoying hearing his thoughts all the time, even though he's always blunt towards everyone, even with popular girls. She keeps thinking of how he said she's cute. No boy ever said that to her before, at least she thinks so. She doesn't want him to get a hold of himself. She tries calming down as she almost exposes herself. She decides to inhale and thinks of how she can just ignore his thoughts like always. Takamori is confused when he looks at her. Suddenly, he drops his eraser. She picks it up and tells him he dropped his eraser. He only says, "Oh." He reaches for her hand, and they look deep into each other's eyes. Takamori can't help but think about how her face is so close to his. He thinks of how she picked up the eraser for someone like him. He believes she's kind too, adding that he loves her. Hearing this, Minamikawa's face suddenly turns red, and he continues staring at her. Minamikawa has the ability to hear people's thoughts. After hearing his thoughts, she's unable to believe what she just heard. She's unable to take the pressure she feels. Now she wants to shut him up somehow. Takamori wants to make the eraser an heirloom. Minamikawa is unable to handle the flutter she feels from listening to Takamori's thoughts. If this keeps up, she starts imagining what might happen. If this happens, she believes she could die from embarrassment. Back in kindergarten, she fainted from embarrassment. This was caused by the teacher patting her head. With the situation she's facing right now, she believes a bashful person like her is in danger. She believes she's also at fault, selfishly reading his mind. After all this time she could simply ignore people's insults. She emptied her mind. Rather than being liked and praised so much, she prefers to be insulted and hated instead. She thinks of an idea to make him hate her. She believes if he badmouths her, she can simply ignore it. It's also just weird if she just hates him, though it's not like she's confessing. Suddenly, he says something. He asks if he can see the materials. Takamori probably forgot to bring his book. She sees this as an opportunity, so she closes her book, looks away, and says she won't show him the materials. Doing this makes her a little satisfied, and now she wonders how he'll react to what she just did or said. She believes she's a pretty girl who won't show him the materials. She imagines he'll think about how he hates her. She's confident he'll say it with no doubt. She thinks of how he'll hate her, and Takamori will finally stop thinking about her. Guilt suddenly hits her. She takes a quick look at him, wondering if she went too far. He notices her looking and is still impressed by how cute she looks to him. She realizes that what she did had no effect at all. He clenches his fist, thinking about how it's the first time he's seen her cold attitude. He believes great things will come. He only says, "Okay." Hearing this surprises her, as she expected him to say something else. Minamikawa suddenly loses to guilt and decides to let him see the materials. He then thinks about how she can be playful. He thanks her. She blushes after hearing his thoughts again. Now, in the female toilet, Minamikawa is worn out after what she had to face. She escaped to the girls' toilet. She's unable to believe the nerve of Takamori. If he keeps thinking this much, it makes her head spin. Not only is she not bothered by his attitude, but being liked this much will drive her crazy. She thinks of how she needs to make him hate her fast, or her head will explode. She's extremely embarrassed, on the verge of dying from it. She guesses she has no choice. The only thing left to do is to talk to him one-on-one. At first, she apologizes for suddenly calling him. He tells her it's fine, then asks what she wants. Takamori is excited to be alone with Minamikawa-san. He keeps thinking about how she asked him to talk on the roof. While lost in his thoughts, she calls his name. She asks what he thinks of her. One way to make a boy hate you is to make them confess and then reject them as hard as you can. It's not like she truly hates him, but if it brings her peace, then it's fine if he says he hates her. She thinks about hate. Takamori's face suddenly turns red, and Minamikawa starts heating up. She feels dizzy and falls. Takamori looks at her, asking if she's okay and offering her a hand. Minamikawa just looks into his eyes. She suddenly gets dramatic, saying she's dying. She's confident that she'll make him shut up someday. Minamikawa has a condition where she can read people's minds. After living for 16 years, she's already used to it. For peace, she mostly ignores all of them, until she listens to a certain person's mind. She finds it annoying when he compliments her in his mind, especially when he thinks she's cute. She worries that if this continues, she'll die from embarrassment. Rather than dying, she prefers to be insulted instead. She wants to make Takamori-kun hate her quickly, or her heart won't last. Time passes, and Minamikawa is really exhausted. She feels like she's about to die from this love onslaught. She decides to leave the classroom. She walks fast, ready to go home. Suddenly, she realizes she forgot her bag. This has never happened before. She goes back into the classroom, and she's surprised to see Takamori-kun. She asks if he's not going home yet. He mentions that the teacher asked him to help grade the tests. She looks concerned and asks if she can help. She suddenly thinks if she helps him, he'll probably say something embarrassing again, and then she would die. She grabs her bag and awkwardly says good luck to him, saying she'll see him tomorrow. He says, yeah. She turns, and while walking away, she feels sorry. She believes she probably looks like she's being very mean to him. She thinks about him, regretting that she didn't at least help. She suddenly stops. She had finally gotten used to her condition and thought she could finally live a normal high school life. She doesn't want to die of embarrassment. Suddenly, she hears his thoughts. He's thinking about her, mentioning how she's a nice person. For someone as boring and plain as Takamori, he thinks about how she went out of her way to say, see you tomorrow. He still believes she's a nice person. She sits down, processing what he just thought. She believes he's too kind. She thinks about how she's not a nice person. She believes she should help him after all, and there's a lot to be done. She decides to steal her heart as she starts thinking of nice things she wants to do. She gets up and runs, thinking this is all for a peaceful high school life. Nope, she came back anyway. She thinks about how she should just go home before anything else happens. While grading, Takamori is still thinking about how Minamikawa is kind. He loves that part of her. She hears this and suddenly exclaims, let's finish this quickly, shall we? Her pen runs out of ink. She asks him if she can borrow his pen. He turns to her and gives it to her. Suddenly, their hands touch. She apologizes. He clenches his arm and says it's okay. Minamikawa starts panicking, her mind racing. She feels like she's going to die from embarrassment. He notices her and asks what's wrong. She blames him in her mind, thinking it's all his fault. More importantly, she thinks about how he's too good at keeping a poker face. He's not embarrassed at all. She's the only one feeling embarrassed. It's because he never confesses how he feels. She can't say she hates him. She wants to make Takamori-kun confess. She suddenly says she's been wondering about something. She calls his name and asks if he likes her. They suddenly fall silent, staring into each other's eyes. As he starts to answer, she tells him to wait. She starts overheating, thinking she's reached her limit. She's embarrassed by her own words. She suddenly changes her mind, telling him to forget about it. She says goodbye and leaves. He's left kneeling on one knee, shocked by her question. Whenever he's with Minamikawa-san, his heart feels like it's going to explode. She walks away, unable to process what just happened. At home, while bathing, she's still traumatized. While sleeping, she's still traumatized. She keeps thinking about the outrageous thing she said. She got carried away. She feels like she's acting overly self-conscious and is so embarrassed. A good-looking, quiet boy. If only he stayed quiet. The next day at school, Minamikawa can't get a wink of sleep. She doesn't know how she'll face Takamori-kun. Suddenly, he arrives and is ready to take his seat. She gasps and says good morning to him. He responds back to her. She's surprised that he's acting normal, wondering if she's just overthinking the situation. Suddenly, she listens to his thoughts. Takamori is still curious about what she asked him. He can't get it off his mind. He's so conscious of Minamikawa that he can't even look her in the face. He couldn't sleep yesterday. Hearing this surprises her. He's seriously overthinking it. Takamori keeps wondering why she asked him that. When she asked him to come to the roof, she asked what he thought about her. Takamori starts wondering if there's a possibility of something more between them. He wonders if she knows that he likes her. She knows. He thinks maybe his love for her is so strong that it leaked out. But then he dismisses that thought, thinking it's impossible. He sweeps it away, believing there's no way she can read his mind. Minamikawa is still listening to his thoughts and is startled. Takamori sighs. He wonders if he's grinning too hard in front of her. He pulls himself together, thinking he needs to be careful because he doesn't want to trouble her. He decides he'll just keep it all in his mind. His thoughts are what trouble Manamikawa the most. Now it's time for sports, and Manamikawa can't seem to concentrate while running. Feels like she's going in circles. She wishes she couldn't read minds and that she wasn't so beautiful. Even if she thinks about it, nothing can be done. She knows she has to think of a way to make Takamori-kun hate her before she dies of embarrassment. Suddenly, she kicks a rock and falls face first on the ground. Today is just not her lucky day. Shocked, she wonders if the gods cursed her. The coach rushes over and asks if she's okay. She says yes. The coach asks if someone can take her to the nurse. Manamikawa pretends to be fine, saying she can go by herself. The coach asks if she's sure. She stands up and says she's going now, relieved that she didn't bother anyone. Since she can read their minds, she already knows what they're thinking. There may be some who want to skip out. If she doesn't want to bother anyone, this is better. It's easy to feel the atmosphere. She now feels pain in her twisted leg. Her leg starts twitching. She realizes it would have been better to let someone help after all. She sits down again, feeling a little relief since no one is around. She's about to cry, thinking today is just not her day. Suddenly, Takamori-kun comes up to her, calling her name. He asks if she's okay. Her face turns red as she asks why he's there. Takamori heard that she got hurt, so he quickly left the marathon to check on her. But if he tells her that, he's sure she'll get mad. Manamikawa hears his thoughts. He tells her he was just getting something from the classroom. Manamikawa is surprised that he lied. Takamori notices her injury. She smiles and says it's fine, no need to worry. She says she's just resting. She stands up, telling him to go back to the marathon or the teacher might get angry. He grabs her hand and tells her she doesn't look fine to him. Hearing those words sends chills down her spine, in a good way. They go silent, looking into each other's eyes. Takamori is the type who acts without thinking. Manamikawa can't believe what he just said. She can't process everything at once. Takamori gets on his knees, ready to give her a piggyback ride, saying he'll carry her. She's shocked by the situation. She's being carried by a boy classmate. This is the most embarrassing moment ever. She awkwardly asks if she's heavy and tells him to put her down. He looks at her and says she's light to him. Manamikawa just wants him to put her down. She thinks about reading his mind right now, worried she might faint from embarrassment. She won't let that happen. Takamori, in his thoughts, believes Manamikawa is doing this because she doesn't want to bother anyone. She hears his thoughts. He continues thinking about how much he loves this part of her. If only she'd rely on others more. If she wanted to rely on him, he'd be very happy. Hearing this touches her deeply. Suddenly, he asks if she has a fever because she's burning up. She quickly says, "What? No." Now in the infirmary, he leaves her sitting there, saying he's going to call the nurse. She calls his name and he turns to look at her. She thanks him for carrying her and says that if he gets hurt next time, she'll carry him. Hearing this surprises him. She adds that she's stronger than she looks and bets she could easily carry him, even in a princess style. She believes this way she can repay her debt, and as a girl it will embarrass him, killing two birds with one stone. Takamori thinks about what she just said. A strong girl able to carry a boy. He thanks her and thinks about how cute she is, even with this funny idea. This makes her temperature rise, and the nurse asks if she has a fever. She exclaims, "I'm not." Manamikawa asks Takamori if she can borrow his phone for a moment. Without hesitation, he hands it to her. She taps something on his phone, then gives it back, saying she'll see him later. He's confused by what she just did. He looks at his phone and is shocked. Manamikawa added her contact number to his phone. Takamori is surprised she actually did that. She's happy that she now has his number and contact details too. She sees this as an opportunity to spam him with stickers or annoy him with constant phone calls until he gets so fed up that he'll hate her. That's her plan. She believes he'll finally shut up and her peaceful high school life will return. She laughs, thinking it's time to annoy him. Takamori is at home when he gets a notification. It's from Manamikawa, of course, and she tells him she just got home. Takamori looks at the phone and goes back to what he's doing. 30 minutes later, he still hasn't responded. 1 hour later, still no response. She sends another text asking if he's home. 2 hours later, still no reply. She looks at her phone, wondering if he's asleep. Then she realizes he left her on read. Seeing this crushes her, and she wonders why he'd do that. She starts overthinking, wondering if she annoyed him too much. Then she thinks it's actually a good thing. She's stressed because she can't read his mind right now, so she doesn't know what he's thinking. Meanwhile, Takamori is looking at his phone, seeing all the messages Minamikawa sent. He's so happy to get a message from Minamikawa-san, but he doesn't know how to respond. He thinks about saying, "I just got home too," but scratches that idea, thinking it's too plain. He thinks of texting, "Hey, smile, thanks for adding me, I'm super happy, star." But he scratches that idea, thinking it's definitely a no. He's overthinking a simple text. He wants to come up with the best possible response. While Minamikawa is waiting, she gets a notification and opens it. Takamori sent her a sticker of a cat bowing. Seeing this, she thinks he's already trying to end the conversation, even though she hasn't sent many messages yet. Takamori feels weak, beating himself up for relying on stickers. He wishes he was better at texting. He puts his phone down, wondering why Minamikawa would even want to message someone like him, someone plain and boring. He thinks talking to him can't be exciting. He wishes his social skills were better but knows he's asking for the impossible. Suddenly, his phone rings. He wonders if his mom is calling by mistake. He looks at his phone, takes a deep breath, and answers. It's Minamikawa calling. She reminds him that he hadn't replied for a while, so she called instead. He apologizes, and she reassures him, saying it's fine and that he shouldn't worry. She laughs softly, but Takamori stays quiet. The phone call turns awkward. Even though they're talking, there's silence between them. Minamikawa can usually read his mind, and she imagined him being talkative, but in reality, he's more like a cool, lone wolf. Minamikawa decides to say something to break the silence. She tells him to look outside. He slides the door open and sees the full moon. She mentions how beautiful it is and asks if he can see it too. Takamori is deep in thought, realizing they're looking at the same moon. Even though there's a lot he wants to say, he can't find the right words, and it frustrates him. He remembers the entrance ceremony when Minamikawa insisted on helping an old lady, even though the lady said her bag was heavy. Takamori didn't help, and Minamikawa had told the lady she was stronger than she looked. At that moment, he had just stood there and said nothing. While thinking of that memory, he responds to Minamikawa on the phone with a simple, "Yeah." Then, out of nowhere, he asks, "The moon is beautiful, isn't it?" Hearing this surprises Minamikawa, and her face turns red. The phone slips from her hand in shock. She's left wondering if she heard him correctly. She didn't catch his words clearly, so she tries convincing herself she didn't hear what she thinks she did. Suddenly, his little sister calls him. She peeks in and asks if he was talking to his girlfriend. He tells her he wasn't. He wonders if she was eavesdropping on him. She responds, reminding him that he said, "The moon is beautiful, isn't it?" She asks if that doesn't mean, "I love you." Takamori is now speechless. He starts blaming himself, thinking that explains why Kawa hung up on him. His little sister suddenly gives him a lecture, saying it's not good to say those words when he's not serious. He looks down. Then suddenly he says no. He tells his sister that he is serious. The next day, Kawa rushes to class, trying to calm down. She's sure Takamori-kun already forgot what he said last night. She gets to class and starts apologizing for yesterday. She keeps mumbling, saying she just wanted to distract herself. Or maybe he could say she was just bored. She adds that she just wanted to tease someone. Kawa is making excuses to make Takamori forget about last night. She then asks him to forget about what happened. Takamori says all right to her. She thinks he seems pretty normal today. She also thinks last night wasn't a confession after all. But then, he tells her not to forget what he said last night. She says, "Huh." He looks away, blushing. Her face also turns red, realizing it was a confession. She falls from her chair, freaking out. Special chapter. Takamori is thinking about how the entrance ceremony is finally over. He wants to hurry home. Suddenly, a girl sees an old lady and offers to carry her luggage. Takamori looks at the girl and notices that she's a freshman. He also realizes that she's kind. The old lady tells the girl that the luggage is heavy. The girl says not to worry, that she's stronger than she looks. Ding dong, that's when his heart bells. He just stood there, looking at the girl. The girl asked the old lady if she was going to the station. The girl told the old lady that she would go with her. Seeing this made Takamori stop and think for a moment. He found the girl to be cute. This is the moment he fell in love. He started wondering what her name was. In class, he sat down, hoping to meet her at school someday, also wondering what class she's in. Suddenly, the girl, ready to take a seat next to him, says, "Morning." He gave a slight look, and the girl introduced herself as Minamikawa. She mentioned that she'd be sitting next to him and that it was nice to meet him. Takamori is still in disbelief that his crush is sitting next to him. She looks at his desk and sees his name written on a paper. She asks if it's Takamori-kun. He bows and says, "Yo." She then says they should get along. At this moment, Takamori was really excited, and Kawa is confused, seeing him this excited. She's gotten used to reading people's minds, and a peaceful high school life awaits. With a lot of energy, she greets him the next morning. That's when she realizes the boy sitting next to her seems like a quiet person. She listens to his thoughts, thinking there shouldn't be any problems. Looking at Takamori, his head is screaming yes, and this makes her wonder. He wonders if something like this can really happen. Kawa is confused about why he's suddenly happy. His expression says the complete opposite. She gives him a big smile, saying it's nice to meet him. She's left wondering what's happening, if she knows him somehow. She continues learning more about him just by looking and listening to his thoughts. Listening to his thoughts made her question his loud mind, even though his expression is so calm. Moreover, he only gives her a stare and continues speaking in his mind. She suddenly hears his thoughts, saying she's cute today as well. While looking the other way, he continues asking himself if there's anyone as angelic as her. Takamori is looking at Kawa's reflection in the window. He thinks, she's really cute, he really loves her, she's too nice, how wonderful. Hearing his thoughts makes Kawa blush. Suddenly, she slams the desk, saying, "Geez," and he glances at her. It becomes awkward to explain, and she says, "Geez, it's already that time." She wants him to stop making her so embarrassed every day. She wants to shut him up. Back to reality. They're now in a cooking class. The teacher tells the students to form groups and start making curry. Kawa keeps worrying about what Takamori said yesterday. She wonders if it was really a confession. She thinks about how he didn't explicitly say, "I love you," so she doesn't need to get too bothered by it yet. Suddenly, he calls her name and asks if he can cut the vegetables since it's dangerous. Hearing this makes her face flush red, and everyone in class turns to Takamori and Kawa after what he said. Kawa feels dizzy from embarrassment and falls over. A classmate asks if she's okay, and she says she's fine. She's frustrated that she's now so conscious of him. She continues cutting an onion, but then she cuts her finger. Takamori asks if she's hurt, and she denies it, saying she's fine and it's not a big deal. He starts searching his pockets and finds a band-aid. He wraps it around her finger. She looks surprised that he did that. He tells her to be careful, still concerned. She starts shaking after hearing his thoughts. She exclaims, "So, let's continue making curry." She grabs a bag of sugar and starts pouring it into the pot. The pot starts heating up and flames shoot out. She's startled and continues throwing things into the pot. The other students tell her to calm down, and someone asks for her to be stopped. The food is now ready and burnt. The students just stare at it. Each of them takes a spoonful to taste. They laugh awkwardly, saying they're not that hungry after all. One of them lies, saying she's on a diet. Kawa knows she messed up and apologizes to everyone. She's acting recklessly because she's embarrassed in front of Takamori-kun. She knows no one wants to eat the curry she made. Suddenly, she gets an idea. She wants to make Takamori eat all of it. He should be totally disgusted by her lack of girl power. That's what she thinks. She takes the plate and walks toward him, asking if he's hungry. She tells him to eat the curry. He doesn't react. He just looks at her. He takes off the cloth from his head and picks up the spoon, ready to eat. He takes one bite, and the students in his group are shocked that he's eating what Kawa cooked. He keeps chewing, thinking about the curry. To his surprise, this is the most delicious curry he's ever had. Kawa hears his thoughts and looks at him, confused. He continues eating, thinking that eating food made by a girl he likes is a luxury. The students are impressed. Takamori keeps eating even though his eyebrows start wrinkling. It's very bitter after all. He keeps thinking about how precious the potato is. Seeing him suffer for her, Kawa gets worried and tries to stop him, saying he doesn't have to force himself. She reaches out toward him, but Takamori is determined to eat the food she made. She hears his thoughts again, where he says he's happy because Kawa cooked, and there's no way he won't eat what she made. Her face turns red after hearing that. She says she can make it better next time, admitting that she failed today but usually doesn't. She begs him to stop forcing himself to eat the deadly curry. She shakes him, but he isn't forcing himself. She promises that, to make up for the terrible food she made, she'll cook something he likes next time. He stops eating and asks what she means. She says she can't make anything too complicated since she's not good at cooking at all. But no matter how you look at it, this is too much. The curry she made isn't delicious at all. She made death curry, the world's #1 gross curry. She asks him to stop eating, saying she'll make it up to him. Then she starts questioning herself, wondering if she's even good enough to make it up. Suddenly, he holds her hand and says he's happy. He reassures her that he wants to eat what she cooked. This makes her blush. He looks at their hands and then quickly pulls his hand away, apologizing. She lets it go, and now she wonders what she should make next. She starts imagining bringing food to him as his wife. Takamori watches her daydreaming. She snaps out of it and scolds him, saying he's thinking too fast. Takamori is confused. Then she asks if miso soup is okay with him. He responds, "Huh? Why?" The rest of the group is left confused by what they're doing. Kawa starts realizing things aren't going as she planned. She and Takamori have gotten much closer. He gave her a piggyback ride. They call each other, and now he's eating her food. She wants to think of a good way to make him hate her. Suddenly, she hears a snapping sound. She looks down and sees she broke a pencil. She picks it up and wonders if it's Takamori-kun's pencil. She's surprised it broke so easily. Suddenly, he appears behind her, asking what's wrong. This startles her. Nervously, she says good morning while hiding the pencil. In a quiet voice, she tries giving him the broken pencil. Suddenly, the bell rings, and he wants to write in his journal. Kawa just stands there, staring at him writing. In the bathroom, she's stressed, questioning her actions and thinking she needs to apologize properly. Her inner devil says this will finally make him hate her, so all's well that ends well. The angel asks why the devil would say that. The angel mentions that it could be something very precious to Takamori-kun, like a memento from his grandma, and then what will she do? Kawa doesn't know what to do. She believes he's sure to get angry. She quickly dashes out of the bathroom, thinking it's not the time to reflect in there. She has to hurry and apologize to him. She walks up to him and he's looking at his phone. Ashamed, she calls his name. He looks at her and she starts mumbling. She has a guilty look, but no words come out. She broke his precious thing, and she feels awful. She says sorry, but before she can finish, Takamori gets called by the class duty, asking him to come for a second. He stands up and asks what she wanted to say. She says nothing and tells him he can go to the class duty. She waves at him, saying good luck. She decides she'll apologize next time. While in class, she tries to apologize but fails. During the marathon, she tries keeping up with him so she can apologize but fails again. Even when she gets a little chance, something happens before she can speak. In class, when she's ready to apologize, she sees he's not at his desk. At break time, she can't find him either. She can't find him when she needs him. With this happening, she can't find the right time to apologize. She hasn't caught Takamori-kun even once today. He got called out by the teacher a lot. She starts wondering how she can talk to him alone. Suddenly, an idea pops up. She was looking everywhere for him. She was thinking about him. This realization hits hard as she feels embarrassed. She wonders if he'll be upset that she broke his pencil. She's sure he will be, especially if it's important to him. She believes she has no choice. She'll call him out to that place again, where they'll be alone. She calls him to the roof again. Takamori thinks about how this is the second time. He has a feeling she's been trying to tell him something all day. He wonders if he did something to upset her. Takamori starts overthinking, wondering if he's been grinning like a pervert. He thinks that's why she called him to the roof again. He gets nervous, and the first thing he says is that he's sorry. She also says she's sorry and shows him his pencil. He looks closer and asks if it's his pencil. She says, yeah, while looking down, clearly feeling guilty. She starts tearing up, saying she broke his precious pencil. She stepped on it and broke it. She also apologizes for taking so long to apologize. She asks for forgiveness. Takamori tells her it's fine and she doesn't need to worry. He's surprised that this is why she called him to the roof. She asks if it wasn't a memento from his grandmother. Takamori thinks it's just a regular pencil from a 100 yen store. He tells her it's fine, as it's not a memento of anything. He didn't even realize he lost it. She mentions that she'd like to make it up to him. She then asks if he's free after school. They look at each other, and in his mind, he questions if this is basically a date. Kawa hears his thoughts, and her face turns red, thinking his inner voice is really loud. It's definitely not what she meant though. Before saying anything, he wonders why she went so far over just a pencil. He finds it admirable, and her cuteness is so unfair. He wonders if she had the pencil wrapped in her handkerchief all day with the intention to apologize to him. He wonders if that means she's been thinking about him all day. He dismisses the thought, adding that if that were true, he'd be so happy he could explode. More importantly, Takamori then responds, saying he's completely free after school. He's excited, thinking it's an after-school date. She's surprised that he seriously sees the invite as a date.